Hello, everyone. We have Chanin here for an interview today on our channel. You probably know him. He runs a YouTube channel called Data Professor, and he's a biologist who became a data scientist. So today's conversation will be more about biology, how data science is used in biology, and how you can, if you're in field of biology or let's say any other technical domain, how you can transition to data science. So we'll be talking about a lot of cool topics. Chanin, welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Perfect. So let's start with your story. So first of all, can you just briefly describe yourself? Like, what do you do? We are going to provide a link of Chanin's YouTube channel, which is the name of the channel is Data Professor. The link is below, so please go check it out. He has a lot of useful content. But just describe how you got into data science with biology background and what inspired you to start this YouTube channel.
hmm Yeah. So actually, one of the first video of my YouTube channel is on the same topic: how a biologist became a data scientist. So originally, I was a biologist. So I had a bachelor's of science degree in biomedical science, and after graduating, I joined the PhD program. So I pursued a PhD in medical technology, and my research was to engineer proteins. So we've isolated this green fluorescent protein from jellyfish, and then we try to mutate the amino acid in order to change the color of the fluorescent protein because we're using it as like a tag for monitoring the presence of heavy metal contamination. And so I attended a conference one day, and then I met a recently graduated PhD researcher from the U.S. So he graduated from RPI in the U.S. and he had a degree in data mining. And so he gave me a book about artificial neural network, and then he provided high level guidance. And so that kind of got me jump started. And then afterwards, it was pretty much more or less like self learning. So the path from there was pretty much self learning. So what motivated me into getting into data science? So at the time, it was back in, I think, 2004. So data science term was not yet created. So it was in 2012, right? The one where DJ Patel published in Harvard Business Review. So at the time, it was called data mining. And because biology is inherently data intensive, there's a lot of data. And after the Human Genome Project, about 2002, 2003, there is a large amount of data. And the completion of the Human Genome Project jump-started the omics revolution. So then there is this thing called the omics revolution. So omics is pretty much at the interface of automation, high throughput technology, and biology. And so essentially, Genome Project is kind of like involving the sequencing of the blueprint of life, right? The genes. And so afterward, then at first we thought that if we knew everything about the genes, we would understand life. But then it
Hmm.
started to scratch the surface of the meaning of life by understanding the gene. And so we discovered that it was not enough to understand genes. And there's this thing called proteins, carbohydrates, so glycomics, interactomic, like the interaction between protein, genes, carbohydrate, lipids. So all of these are called macromolecule. So they are responsible for the functioning of the human body. So let's say in the morning you had sandwich, and upon chewing your sandwich, your saliva contains this enzyme called amylase. So it's a
Hmm.
protein, it's an enzyme. So it digests the food, right? It breaks down into
Hmm.
carbohydrate, and then the carbohydrate is broken down inside your body, right? In order to fuel, provide energy. And so all of these require chemical reaction, and all of the proteins, like 30,000 of the proteins, are inside your body, and
Hmm.
they perform their unique function. One protein will perform one to two or three function. And it's all of these 30,000 genes that are functioning in your body. And so it's pretty much miraculous, kind of like a
System.
concert. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's working in concert with one another. Yeah, like an orchestra. Yeah, but it's rather yet complicated. So we have really started to scratch the surface of all of this.
Okay. And data science can be very useful, right? Because as you said,
Exactly.
the DNA, the whole genome project, it generated so much humongous volume
So
of
much
data.
data.
So with
Right.
data science, what kind of wonderful things can you do in biology? Like, can you predict disease, etc.? Like when the baby is born, can you say like based on the genome structure, this person might have this kind of disease in the future?
Exactly. So recently there's this thing called precision medicine. So what precision medicine is, it is involving, let's say for example, there's this company called 23andMe. So essentially you provide them your, I'm not sure, was it like the cheek skin cells
Hmm.
inside your cheek, the cells inside your cheek, and then they will be able to determine your DNA, right? So based on that, they will be able to see your unique genetic composition, and based on that, they will provide you some prediction as to which allergy do you have, what possible risk factor do you have? Do you have higher risk than normal to have cancer or like a specific type of cancer? So based on your own unique DNA. So actually, all of us are like 99.99% similar, and we're only like 0.0001% different. And
Oh,
so the thing
really?
is, right? So only such small difference will allow us to, I mean, such small genetic difference give rise to large difference, a lot of variation amongst different people, and also like for example, the drugs that we take, the FDA approved drugs. So it might cause side effects for one person, but it won't cause harm or any side effect for another person. And that is because of the genetic difference, which give rise to differences in the protein of each of the human beings.
I see.
Right,
Okay. So now you said that you met this person during a conference which ignited the interest of data science in you.
right.
But at that time, were you, right now you're a professor of biology, right, in some college?
Yes, in Thailand. So I'm currently an associate professor, and I have just applied for a professorship and currently waiting for their evaluation.
I see. So when so basically you did all this self-teaching and but are you teaching biology or biology plus data science in your college today, right now?
Yeah, so when I first started, I joined the Faculty of Medical Technology, and the first department that I joined was called Department of Clinical Microbiology. So in that program, it's pretty much clinical. So I had taken part in teaching laboratories for clinical microbiology. So you know, like microbes, viruses, bacteria, culturing them on
Oh
petri
yeah,
dish.
I
Yeah,
know about
making
viruses.
yogurt. Right, right,
I
right.
know, everyone knows about viruses nowadays.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So all of this like small creatures that you cannot see, but you know it's there. Yeah. And so I think it was about 3 to 4 years after I joined. Then I pretty much was able to uh, start this center of data mining and biomedical informatics with the help of our dean. And so he supported the creation of this innovative center. And so the center was focused on research in applying
Mhm,
data science, data
mhm.
mining for biology, medical technology.
Oh, I see. So then it's like you were already working in the college and this new department was created. And since
Right.
you already had a passion and since you already had a knowledge, they selected you for this work, right?
Yeah. So at the time, I was the only one doing data science at the
Wow.
faculty. Right.
This is a very important point, Chanin, because ma many of the viewers who are listening right now, they say that, okay, I'm learning data science, but no one is giving me a job. But if you
Hmm.
have a knowledge, and if let's say you are doing a job of mechanical engineer or an electrical engineer or any
Right.
other non-technical field, uh, and if you already know data science, if you have already experimented with it in your current job, if there is a data science position, then the
Hmm.
management will consider you because they know that this person knows a little bit, whereas everyone else doesn't know anything. So I think the
Right.
tip for the viewers here is that you do not have to wait till you get an official data scientist job. You just keep on learning these things, acquiring the skills in whatever job you are doing. It could be non-technical job, but
Right.
in that organization, there will be an opportunity for data science because data science field is growing rapidly. So there will be
It
an
is.
opportunity, and when there is an opportunity, you will be in a right position. So you don't have to wait till you get a data science job. I think that's a very important tip that people can learn from your story.
Right. That's a great point. Yeah, because like at the time there were no such term, like right, there were no data scientists. And even if you search for the terminology, I mean, it would
Mm-hmm.
probably be something else. And even in bioinformatics, it is synonymous with computational biologists.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing is, as you say, like at the time, there were no available positions. And so when the time is right for the perfect storm to happen, and when you're there, you're at the right place at the right time. And when the company is ready to expand into data science, into analytics, then if you have the skill set of data science, data analytics, then you'll be the first one to be considered to lead that. And so I was in that story. So I have the skill set for doing data analytics, data science, but I don't have any degree in data science. I did not have any formal training in data science. And I was only a self-taught data
Mm-hmm.
scientist. And actually, I'm self-proclaimed data scientist. So there's no certificate saying, okay, you have successfully completed this data science program.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have any data science certificate. There's no data science degree. And so it's just purely passion. And I think it kind of out of my curiosity for trying to understand, trying to make sense of data. So I stumbled upon data science, and actually I started from using this graphical user interface software called Weka. And so that program allow you to do data mining, and it's like a click application. So you just click like to import your data, you click again to build your decision tree model, you click again to save it as a CSV file.
Oh, so you are not doing Python programming. You started doing your decision tree through using the GUI interface.
GUI, yes.
Wow.
And so in order to optimize parameters, what I did was I had to open like 50 computers on a weekend. And then after each of the computer finished their calculation, I would manually copy and paste the result into a USB drive. And I would aggregate it together in my own laptop. So the experiment would take like maybe a week to perform, and preferably over the weekend because no one is using the computer lab. And then
Mm-hmm.
after a couple of years doing that, it was quite, uh, I think it was like troublesome, right? So you have to manually uh, get your hands on the data. And so I met this, at the time, he was a research assistant. He joined our lab to do research. And he had this book called Python Power. And that was the first time that I first heard of the term Python language. And it was back in, I think it was in 2007. And so after that, I was self-teaching myself Python as well. So he provided me the basis for understanding terminologies in programming. Like what is an array? You know, like trying to
Mm-hmm.
make an analogy of that. Like it's a bookshelf. You open a drawer, you have a bookshelf, and then you have a box inside. You open the box, then you have additional container to put your items, and the items there are your the values. So I think for those who are from a non-technical background, I think the most difficult part is analogy really helps to understand. And not only analogy, but you have to actually do it. And I mean, I tried to self-teach myself programming so many times, and I failed for 3 to 4 times. First time was
trying to learn C++, and that didn't work. And I tried to learn Java, and that didn't work. And then the third time was Python, and it kind of clicked.
Yeah, Python is super easy. So if anyone is trying to learn programming, Python is probably the best choice. All right. So in the field of biology, are there any like hot startups? Or I read an article about uh, GANs being used to solve some generative models being used to solve some cool problems in biology. So can you talk about some of that?
Yeah, so actually it is quite new in this field, and you've sent me the link of that article, and I've read the article, and I think most of it is exactly what I'm doing for my research in my day job as a associate professor at the university. So what I do is called computational drug discovery. And so we make use of machine learning in order to build models of large chemical libraries. And then we try to predict whether a compound or a chemical or a drug is able to produce the desirable inhibition of enzymes or receptor
Mhm,
protein inside the human body. When we're able to do that, then we are able to find a therapeutic molecule that will be able to cure this disease. And
I see.
so what we do is mostly trying to build this machine learning model, classification model, regression models to predict the biological activity. But what we cannot do is reverse engineer the compound. Let's say that we know that, okay, what property is good in order to be a molecule that is able
Mhm,
to provide effective drug property.
mhm,
However, we're not able to reverse that process in order to get the compound.
mhm,
And what we're able to do is only understand what feature are important, but
mhm,
not to reconstruct the molecule itself. And so what the generative adversarial network is providing is it gives us the opportunity to move back and re-engineer the molecule. So that's
mhm.
very novel and very interesting indeed. And recently there has been quite a few papers being published, and most are preprint articles published in bioRxiv. So bioRxiv is a preprint, so it's not yet peer reviewed, and so it's kind of like a work in progress where the peer reviewer who are evaluating your work, your submitted work, other scientists who are evaluating a research article before it gets published is published on the preprint. And so, yeah, it's a cutting edge field.
Mhm. Nice. All right, so we have some questions from our viewers. One person is asking that he has done M.sc from bioinformatics and he
Okay.
would like to become data scientist. So, where do I find related data science projects for bioinformatics? So, he's specifically doing in bioinformatics projects. So, where can he get ideas?
Hmm. So let's start with the terminology. So there is this two terms called bioinformatics and computational biology. So they're quite similar, and many people are and they're synonymous. So and sometimes they're being used interchangeably. So essentially, computational biology is where a scientist, a researcher, or a biologist is applying computational techniques to solve biological problems. And a bioinformatician or a bioinformatic researcher is someone who develops tools, bioinformatic software that will allow other biologists to gain insight from the biological data. And so, as the person who is asking is having a master's in bioinformatics and wants to perform a data science project using bioinformatics data, I presume. So, there's so much data in biology, and I've made this bioinformatics from scratch series where I show you how to download the data set directly from the Jambo database. So if that subscriber were to go and follow that playlist, I created about 5 videos, and so I think he can get started on building his own bioinformatics data science project. And so those are based on my, I think it was like maybe 10 to 15 years of doing bioinformatics research. So
Mhm,
So it originated from me using point and click software. And then over time, I applied Python programming and also R programming in order to code workflow and pipeline in order to analyze those biological data set. And so they're essentially drug discovery projects.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there are more. There are several other data set in biology that he could potentially explore. So, and also I think it's quite interesting, and there's not much data available outside of academia. So in academia, we would know, but then outside of that, I think it's quite unclear. So maybe I might make a YouTube video or maybe write a Medium article to provide some links to all of the possible biological data set that he could play with. Or maybe I could upload some data onto Kaggle, and probably the community
They
could
can
also
benefit.
make use of that. Yeah.
That would be very nice. So yeah, guys, so if you're interested in biology, again, follow Chanin's channel. It's called Data Professor. We have a link in the video description below. He will be, maybe you can also upload videos on like some project ideas on biology
Right.
and then the data
Right.
sets. So both of that will be so much useful. And we have a similar question
Right.
from other person, which is that person has done, so the question is, what are the options for biotech student after graduation in the field of data science or data analyst? How to
Okay.
how they start their career?
Okay. Let's see. So the person probably has graduated biotechnology and wants to break into data science, I guess.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago or months ago, yeah, I created this. So I created this infographic,
Mm-hmm.
and as you can see here, there are several skill sets for
Mm-hmm.
becoming a data scientist. So what I did was I went through a lot of LinkedIn profiles. I went through all of the job advertisement, and also trying to find keywords for what constitute data scientist. And so the skill set that a data scientist would typically have would be knowledge of statistics, mathematics, able to create data visualization, know machine learning, be able to do programming, and also to wrangle data, pre-process data, and have some knowledge of a little bit of software engineer. So I guess this would be in the domain of like maybe data engineer as well. And there are others as well, soft skills. And
Yeah.
aside from the inside the soft skill, we have domain knowledge. So let's say that the person has biotechnology degree. So he already have this strong domain knowledge, which will be able to provide the basis for identifying problems in biotechnology. And then once he had identified problems in biotechnology, he will be able to decide which data to collect, and then he'll be able to pre-process the data. So I would recommend him to also, because he has the domain knowledge already, and if he can identify some biotechnology data set to work on, then perhaps learn about data wrangling. So there's a good book, hands-on. I think Ken also recommended this book on his channel as well. Hands-on machine learning with Keras and scikit-learn, I guess. And so that book is pretty neat. And another good book is from Jake Vanderplas, was it like Python for data science? And so they go into great depth about using data wrangling, performing data wrangling, and some statistical analysis, and also machine learning. Yeah, so perhaps I can provide you the link of this infographic, and you could download it for free, and maybe grab one topic and work on it. So there's no defined path. I would presume select whatever worked best for you, and then
Yeah.
try to integrate that in order to solve the problem of your biotechnology data set, and try to get insight from that. So yeah, so I always say on my own YouTube channel that the best way to learn data science is to do data science. So to learn data science, I would recommend to take a biotechnology data set perform data wrangling, analyze the data, write a report about it, and then share it with your friends and colleagues. And if possible, attempt to publish the paper. And so
Mm-hmm.
as a self-taught data scientist, I learn a lot from the reviewers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so I send my work for publication. The reviewers are like, they're expert in the field, and so they could provide, like guidance indirectly. So they provide guidance in the terms of providing, they read your paper and then they critique your paper. And if there's any weakness in the paper, they will provide some comments, some feedback. They'll be asking like, can you investigate this point? Can you optimize this parameter? This plot doesn't look right. Can you recheck it? Is your data, is your code or workflow reproducible? Would you like to share your code? And I think one of the problem in biology is the reluctance to share code or data, because they have put their hard-earned work into creating that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they might be afraid that someone might scoop their project, right, and kind of hijack their projects. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so I guess that's pretty much hindering them. But in my own research lab, we share all of our data sets, we share all of our code. So you could actually take a look at some of our research paper. You can download the paper, you could download the code, you could download the data, and then you could reproduce our entire paper. And so maybe that would be another way to learn data science, is to try to reproduce the research paper figure by figure, table by table. And
Wow.
so, yeah, maybe
That's so wonderful.
it could be another YouTube series as well, I guess.
Yep. All right. So Sumit Kumar Sai is asking, he's at the end of third year and he want to become a
Right.
professor. So this is interesting.
Okay.
Most of the people want to become data scientists, work for big companies. But Sumit, I really like your intention here. Teaching is such a noble thing, I'm doing teaching on YouTube. Chanin is doing on teaching on YouTube as well as in his college. So we all have a lot of admiration for the teaching, and you want to get into teaching, and he wants to become a professor. And
Awesome.
his question is, if I don't join any company, what all things I can do after learning data science? My passion is
Okay.
teaching, and I love data science. So he's looking for suggestions on that.
All right. Yeah. So, great question. So he's in his third year, right,
Yeah.
of his bachelor's degree. Okay. So, like for example, I'm not sure in India how that works, but in Thailand or in the US, um, you would need to have a PhD degree. So probably if the subscriber could finish his undergraduate, pursue a PhD degree, and then normally a postdoctoral research fellowship is required. So that might take about 2 to 3 years. And then after that, then you could apply to become a
Professor.
lecturer and then work your way up to become a full professor. And in order to do that, you have to accumulate your research. You have to publish it. You have to write a research grant to get some money to fund your project. And then so that you have money to hire PhD students, master's students, researchers, publish. So it's all about publishing, writing grants, and yeah, and teaching, supervising PhD students as well.
Okay. And the suggestion I would give him is like he wants to learn data science without joining any company. So again, projects,
Uh-huh.
like he can do a lot of projects,
Mhm.
and by doing projects he can learn, or he can do some research paper and try to improve the research through Python to Jupyter Notebook, try to implement it.
Exactly.
So that will be probably the way of doing it. All
Mhm.
right, let's move on to the next question. So, any good project regarding biology using Python? I think we probably covered that. I think you'll probably build a series of biology projects and you're going to provide a
Mhm.
data sets that people
Right.
will use.
Mhm.
Okay, so again, like watch Chanin's channel for that. It will be useful. Another question is, I finished master's in biotechnology and finished postgraduate studies in data science. Wow, so
Mhm.
this is good. So
Mhm.
biotechnology plus postgraduate in data science. I'm really
Okay.
interested in data science. How would he go about switching careers? So I
Mhm.
don't understand this question properly, because He has already
Yeah.
done post-graduation in data science and
Hmm.
biology. How would you go about switching careers? You're not really switching the career, right? You already are in biotechnology and data science. You have
Right,
both.
right, right. He is both. He is the hybrid.
Here's the hybrid.
So probably he could be a computational biologist or a bioinformatic researcher.
Okay, so that could be the possible career option. All right. Uh, Now, how important is the domain knowledge in the healthcare sector, uh,
Hmm.
especially if one is coming from engineering or technical background? Let's say someone has
Right,
mechanical engineering degree or someone has computer science degree. Now you go on
right.
to go to healthcare domain, become a data
Hmm.
scientist, or maybe data analyst. So how
Hmm.
would you acquire the domain knowledge?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so, in order to acquire the domain knowledge, then the person would have to take some more biology courses,
Mhm.
biology 101, 201, chemistry, attend workshops, go to conferences, give some talks in a biology conference, and and then try to network with other biologists, other bioinformaticians, and then speak the language, talk about biology with a colleague, and watch some biology documentary, read research paper in bioinformatics. Try to immerse yourself in that field so that you will be able to speak the language, and also a good way is also to publish papers in that field as well. Yeah.
I see.
So to immerse oneself, I think that would be the way to go.
Perfect. Now, someone is asking, how do you maintain and balance time for your YouTube channel? Because you're a professor and then you are doing YouTube, you have a family. I know when we talked about scheduling this interview, you have a daughter and you're like, okay, I
Right.
will let her sleep first and then I get a time. So just talk
Right.
about that whole work-life balance, being
Hmm.
especially a professor in the university.
Yeah. So, like for example, in a typical week, I would try to think ahead, like what's the week like? I'll look at my schedule and then I'll try to see, like, for example, if I want to squeeze in some YouTube time, when would that be possible? So typically that would be possible in the late night. So I would record videos before going to sleep. For example, yesterday at 10 o'clock, no, 10:30, I recorded two videos and then I went to sleep. And then today in the morning, early morning, I would wake up in the morning and then I would edit the video.
Mhm.
And then when there's some time after playing with my daughter, there will be some free time. Maybe she's eating, so I take that short moment to do some editing, something quick. Like when I'm recording a video, I would talk and maybe I would say it wrong, and I would wait for like a silent period of time. And so what I would do is I would quickly edit that kind of video. So that would
I see.
be rather quick. I would edit all of the gap, all of the I would edit all of that out. And then at the late night, like maybe 10 p.m., 11 p.m., I would listen to the video clip and I would just cut out whichever segment that is redundant. And so 2 to 3 days, I'll be able to finish editing one video.
I
And
see.
yeah, so that's YouTube. And also I've tried to experiment writing some Medium article as well. So Ken recommended that maybe it would be a great idea to convert some YouTube videos into an article. And so I did that, and then I noticed that it kind of had an effect on the YouTube videos as well. And so there was a time when I uploaded like one video a week. And before it was like three videos a week during the COVID lockdown. I was able to do like every other day. And so I think the COVID lockdown also allowed my YouTube channel to grow as well. And it grew because it allowed me time, to stay home, to learn more about data science, to learn more about Python. And so, like I'm doing all of this tutorial. I'm not an expert,
Mhm.
I'm learning every time, with every video, I'm learning something new in terms of programming. I'm learning something new in terms of video editing. And with each video, I'm trying to learn something new. And in this data science field, the thing is not to accumulate all of the knowledge passively. The thing is to accumulate it and put it to use immediately. And so with every video, I'm applying the same technique that I'm using for my research paper. So with every research paper, I'm learning something new. Maybe I might be recycling and using some machine learning algorithms that I have been using for other paper, but I'm also learning something new about biology as well. And maybe I'm introducing like a new feature in this paper. Maybe I'm introducing a novel feature selection algorithm. And so I have to read up on that algorithm. I have to figure out how to implement it, and then implement it, and then analyze the data, and then try to figure out what's the novelty. What novelty will I bring to the biology community? So what I would do is I have to read a lot of papers in the field specific to that biology sub area, and then figure out what's novel there, and then what's the gap there, and then try to fill the gap. And so all of this requires some time of unproductivity. So it's impossible to be productive all the time. And so there will be downtime, but then it accumulates, maybe you might not be productive for 2 weeks, and then you get your flow going. And then when the momentum is going, you might be able to be productive for like a streak, maybe for 3 to 4 weeks, right? And so it's kind of like that burst of energy that you have. And if you can channel that burst of energy, it's hard to describe, but if you could channel that energy, then you'll be able to be productive in the long run. So
I do the same thing. I try to steal those little 15-minute and 10 minutes out of my busy day. So if I'm blocked, or sometimes I've seen where I go for like even social gathering somewhere, and usually me and my wife has this habit of going to the places right on time, and most of the people come a little late. So I generally go everywhere with my computer. And I know this could be a little dangerous. You don't want to affect your social life, so you have to be very mindful. But then if I find sitting idle at my some place, for example, one day I went to my friend's home, and my wife was talking with my friend's wife, and my friend was busy, and I was sitting alone. I just take out my computer and do my little editing.
All right.
So the time management and that energy, that channelizing energy point is very important. Okay, last question. Please talk about your motivation, personal goals, and dreams, both personally as well as an academic with his research. So basically, in academics, do you have any goal of doing some like interesting or some cool project in the field of biology? Also talk about some of your personal goals.
Okay. So let's say, let's start with my childhood dream, so before starting my journey in doing a PhD, so before graduating my bachelor's degree, I had this childish dream that I would win the Nobel Prize one day.
Oh, wow.
And then after doing, like every child, who wants to become a scientist. Actually, I was inspired as a kid to become a scientist from this TV show, Bill Nye the Science Guy. I would watch it every day after school. And I really liked how Bill Nye was teaching about biology. And so that motivated me. And in my high school, I was educated in the US. So I was in California, in Los Angeles. And so I was fortunate to be able to take part in this science Olympiad, where we would go and compete. I would make this rocket bottle, and then we would have this water pressure, and then the bottle rocket would, go up, and then we have to create a parachute. And so whichever bottle rocket will be able to stay in the air for the most period of time will win. And so we got like 6th place for that. And I think the good thing out of those competitions is that it allows you to use your imagination. And then with that imagination, it doesn't matter whether you win any first or second or third prize. It's the attempt that matters. It's the friendship that you had, like after school, you spend time with your friends, creating, brainstorming, creating that prototype. It's that experience that kind of keep your mind thinking about the future, what it will be like. Maybe one day you will win the Nobel Prize. And so fast forward to me graduating bachelor's degree, pursuing a PhD with that naive childhood dream. And then after pursuing it for 1 year, it's like, wow, a Nobel Prize is kind of out of reach. I mean, it would be nice to just, barely pass the PhD exam. And so the dream kind of shrank to like, okay, just enough to pass the PhD exam would be good. I think a lot of the PhD student will have this, like depression period. They're unproductive. They stare into their word processor. They're not productive in writing that research article. And I would love this, and they procrastinate a lot as well. Like they're doing things that they're not supposed to do, and they know that what they're supposed to do, but they're not doing it, right? They're procrastinating. And during that period, I was reading this very good comic called PhD Comics, and so that was very amusing and kind of kept me going, with that, like fun aspect to it. Otherwise, I think doing a PhD, it requires a lot of patience, and also people who will be able to, your friends who will be able to understand that you won't be able to join their parties. You might disappear for like maybe half a year, like to write your thesis. So I think it's all of that understanding that will allow one person to pass that period of time. And thinking right now, I think being a YouTuber is kind of like doing a PhD, because it requires a lot of dedication, a lot of time management. The thing is, that you have to release a video a week at least, or 2 videos a week. And how do you do that, right? So you're accountable to your subscribers, right? And so how would you do that? You have to squeeze time, as you mentioned. And I think that's the I think the awesome skill that being a YouTuber
Yeah,
gives
exactly.
you. I don't know. It just kind of struck onto you, and then you have to figure out where will you get that 5 minute, where will you get that 10 minute, edit that
Yeah.
one segment of the video. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like the mother who's able to carry a heavy car out of, maybe the car was onto her child, right? And the mother had this very superhuman power to carry the car
To
out.
carry, yeah,
So
I heard about that story
yeah,
actually. That's a power of mind. Yep.
yeah, exactly.
And do you have any dreams or any goals for as far as your academic research or your biology field is concerned?
Right. So I started this YouTube channel back in August. So I just celebrated 1 year anniversary of the YouTube on August 21st. And it was an amazing journey. I met a lot of great YouTubers like yourself, Kenji, Grish Naik, so many people. I've learned a lot from all of the subscribers as well. And I think this journey is very amazing. So before starting the YouTube journey, I already filed for my professorship. So my academic journey is, I think it's all right. It's okay. So I fulfilled some of the achievements, but then there is this thing lacking, like publishing papers. Okay, it has that awesome feeling that you publish a paper, you're you're giving to mankind, you're giving to the community. But the thing is, we're just publishing it and it's online. And I mean, many people say that publications just go onto the bookshelf and they're forgotten and they're lost. And so I had this emptiness, this void, like, I mean, publish and then so what, right? And then after launching the first video on YouTube, so my daughter say like, why don't you make your own YouTube channel? And I'm like, okay, sure, why not? Right after like maybe 2 months of procrastinating, and then I just hit the record button, upload the video, and then the feedback that came afterward, it was quite amazing. People are asking like, can you make a video about this? And at the time, I have this imposter syndrome, like, do I know enough to teach other data scientists? It kind of took a while to get over that, imposter syndrome feeling. I think all of us have that at some point in time. That we feel that we're not good enough to put the content. But the thing is, if you're able to share whatever experience that you have, it might be useful to other people. And I think that's all that matters. And when we put it out, subscriber will suggest like, okay, that is wrong, it's good. And so we learn from the bad part, and we know what is good. So we know what is wrong, and then we learn and we kind of evolve over time. So I think it's kind of like a give and take kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. And so the dream, I think this is the dream. I'm living the dream right now, making YouTube videos and learning and having great friendship like this. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. That was an awesome conversation, Chanin. Thank you very much for your time. And we are going to provide some useful link in the video description below. So friends, please go out his channel, especially if you are in the field of biology. And yes, I'll stop recording now. Thank you.